So the official dedicated teaser trailer for Life on Our Planet has officially been released today, and I gotta say, this looks pretty good. Upon watching it, I had a lot of things that kind of stood out to me. I kept a list of those things, and I kind of want to talk about them. I gotta say that this documentary looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be an 8-part Netflix series that kind of details life on our planet, all the way back, I'm assuming, to the start of life on our planet, and kind of ending around the Cenozoic, which is a lot more closer to, the modern day. So there's going to be a plethora of different points of time that are going to be shown off in this, ranging from the Mesozoic to the Cenozoic to the Devonian. All kinds of different things are going to be featured in this, and because of that, there's going to be a lot of very cool creatures that'll get the screen time. And again, I have a list of creatures that I've noted that stand out to me and that I'm extremely excited to see. So let's go ahead and get into it and talk about them. So pretty much the trailer starts off with what appears to be a Diplodocus, which is a good sign because that means that we're not going to be just sticking towards the Cretaceous period. A lot of documentaries like to stick in the Cretaceous period because, of course, T-Rex, the most famous dinosaurs, live in the Cretaceous, especially the late Cretaceous. More specifically, the Maastrichtian, which is the very end of the late Cretaceous, and the point in time that had T-Rex and Triceratops and very famous dinosaurs that we're all used to. But showing Diplodocus, at least I hope this is Diplodocus. The adult definitely looks like Diplodocus. I'm not too sure about the young ones. If I'm wrong, if anybody has any information about this and it's not Diplodocus, be sure to let me know, but it definitely looks like Diplodocus. There was also another shot that takes place in what appears to be the Hell Creek Formation at the end of the Cretaceous period, the Maastrichtian. You can tell this by the Triceratops present, as well as what has to be Alamosaurus. Alamosaurus is the only sauropod that was alive during the late Cretaceous period in North America, as far as we know anyway. It's the only sauropod that we have in North America at that time, so it has to be Alamosaurus, unless some creative liberties were taken, which in a documentary, that's we'll see. But the way that it looks pretty good. The Hell Creek Formation was a humid kind of wetland, more akin to the Florida Everglades, and it looks pretty good. It looks very reminiscent of that. This is, of course, where we'll probably be seeing T-Rex. There are a few different shots of T-Rex, and I'll probably talk about it a little bit more later. So I'm interested to see what they're going to, do with this. Next thing that I want to point out, and I'm extremely excited for this, is the presence of a Gorgonopsid. Now, on my TikTok page, I've talked about a couple times how I want to see more Gorgonopsids on screen. So seeing this little guy show up made me extremely happy. I'm not exactly sure which Gorgonopsid it is. We get very close-up shots of its face, and we don't really get an idea of the scale of the animal. So I don't know if it's like Gorgonops or Inostransavia, but it looks really good. I really like the hair that's present. It does appear to have lips, which is definitely a step in the right direction because terrestrial animals, especially predators, likely did have lip coverings, because that just makes sense for their teeth. But I'm really digging the design. Again, I really like the hair that's present on it. It being a therapsid is pretty related to mammals, so seeing that represented on screen, I think, is very, very cool. And I'm really excited to see it. I'm really curious to see what kind of Gorgonopsid it is. And yeah, that's one of the highlights for me. So, that means that we will be in the Permian. So maybe seeing other things like, I don't know, Dimetrodon, the very famous synapsid, which would be really cool to see on screen, an updated, more accurate one that we haven't seen Dimetrodon in a documentary in a long time. So I think seeing it would be really cool too. Even if it is the most famous Permian creature out there, I still think it'd be really cool to see. After that, another thing that stands out is the Arthroplura to me. Now, Arthroplura is like a giant relative of millipedes that was absolutely huge because the oxygen levels at the time in which it lived, that being the Carboniferous, were very different compared to how they are today. So the bugs of the time had the opportunity to grow larger because they grow through their skin, and there's a whole huge thing to it. And so you had giant creatures like this, and I'm excited to see it because, to my knowledge, we've only seen it 2 other places, that being in Walking with Monsters, I believe, unless I'm remembering it wrong. but I know for a fact it was in Prehistoric Planet. So, and I think it's cool to see it. I really like the coloration on it. I'm excited to see what they do with it and what other creatures might show up with it. The place in which it lived was a time of swamps. There was a lot of different life that you can show, especially with the giant insects and arachnids and things like that. So I'm excited to see what they do with that point in time. And then Duncolosus. Now, Duncolosus is a placoderm fish that is absolutely massive. Not as massive as we once thought. Newer estimations make it a lot more stubby, basically. And I can't tell if this design is reminiscent of that. I assume that this was designed and created and rendered before new Duncolosus estimations were published. So I assume it's based off of the older estimations. But other than that, the design looks really good. It definitely looks how you'd expect Duncolosus to look like. I really like the scarring that they gave it. It definitely looks like an animal that would live through a lot, and I'm really excited to see it. I don't think that we've seen too much of Duncolosus in documentaries, so I think that this is going to be really fun to see, and again, is a highlight for me in the trailer. And then we have the cave lions, Panthera atrox, I believe. And these guys look great. I absolutely love their design. I mean, of course, if you just base their design off of a lion, you'll probably get a good design anyway. But I'm really digging it. I think that the texturing looks really good. I like the white color. I think that that's going to be a standout for me in whichever episode that they show up in, like part 8 or something like that. Because I actually, in an earlier trailer, and actually in this one too, we do see Smileon. I wasn't too big of a fan of that design because it was just too bulky. For me, like too tiger-like. Smileon was a lot more thin in general, or streamlined, I guess, and that definitely wasn't represented in the design. However, the cave lion design, I think, looks fantastic. Again, I really like the white color, and I'm excited to see it. And now, an animal that made a name for itself in Jurassic World Dominion, the Lystrosaurus. This is a cool one. Something that is further cementing the fact that we're going to be in the Permian or in the Triassic, because interestingly enough, Lystrosaurus is actually a creature that survived from the late Permian into the early Triassic period, which is very interesting. So who knows, maybe this means that we'll be taking a dive into the early Triassic. I think it's unlikely. We'll probably be in the late Permian, and that's likely where we'll be seeing the Lystrosaurus, but just a little bit of food for thought. Maybe they'll mention the fact that it survived into the Triassic period. Who knows? But I'm really digging the design. It has its tusks, it has its beak. It's a very weird looking animal, which Lystrosaurus was definitely a weird looking animal, and I'm very excited to see it on screen. We don't see too many of these creatures. That's something that is obviously a common theme, is that we're seeing some creatures that we don't see too much of in general. So I'm really excited to see a lot of them. And then finally, the T-Rex. Now, of course, we saw them featured in an earlier trailer, in the kind of trailer that wasn't dedicated to this series specifically. It was kind of like a hodgepodge of all of the different documentaries that Netflix was doing. And overall, I think that the design is very well done. It's very thick, which, let's be real, T-Rex would have been a very thick animal. Once you've incorporated all the fat and muscle to those skeletons, you'll have a very thick animal on your hands. And I think that they did a good job at capturing that. As far as I can tell, it has things like lips and its lacrimal horns and all of that good stuff. So I think we're getting a very accurate Rex design, which is good. It continues the trend of very accurate Rex designs that we've been seeing as of late. Obviously, I think that the dinosaur sections are going to be very popular amongst people watching this show. I don't know how many episodes will be dedicated to them. I don't know how the episode structure will be working. I don't know if it's like one time period per episode type thing, or like a select period of time. I don't know what exactly they're doing, or I don't know if it's just going to be a gradual thing going on. I'm assuming that they're going to have dedicated episodes to just specific areas in a specific point in time. Like, I think that we're going to get an episode dedicated to Hell Creek Formation. I could be wrong, but that might be what they're doing. But of course, in earlier trailers, we have seen things like Maiasaura, and so I'm pretty sure that we will be seeing a lot more dinosaurs in general. Again, I don't know how many episodes are dedicated to them, but I think that's going to be really cool to see. So that is the teaser trailer for Life on Our Planet. I will definitely be checking this out when it comes out. It comes out October 25th. I can't remember if I mentioned that. But knowing Netflix, they'll probably release all of the episodes at once. I want to cover each episode individually, like I did with Prehistoric Planet. So likely what I'll be doing is just kind of like watching an episode and just reviewing it, you know, doing all that good stuff, and then just uploading it one at a time instead of trying to do the entire thing, because I feel like something like this will require it, you know, just a little bit more of a thorough look at it, because of how much time it's spanning. So I'll just be dedicating more time to each episode, basically, even if it does all release at once. But I'm really excited to be seeing this. Be looking forward to some content surrounding it come October. And yeah, that's all I got for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have an awesome day.